Hello, welcome. Hope you are having a great day today. So, today we are talking about Joshua chapter 16. And if today is your first day watching one of my videos, welcome. We talk about one chapter of the Bible each day. We started with Genesis chapter 1 back at the beginning of the year. So you can go back and start from the very beginning, or you can start with us anytime. So if you haven't already had a chance to read through Joshua 16, I encourage you to go ahead and do so now. So today's chapter is a teeny tiny chapter continuing to discuss the portions of land that were given to the different tribes. And in today's chapter, we see the land given to Ephraim and West Manasseh. I think that's how you pronounce that. And the land given to Ephraim. Now, my footnote talks about the first part of today's chapter. And in the first allotment that we read about today, it said this was the homeland allocated to the families of Joseph's sons, which were Manasseh and Ephraim. So let's read a footnote concerning that allotment. It says, although Joseph was one of Jacob's 12 sons, he did not have a tribe named after him. This was because Jacob took Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, as his own. We read about that back in Genesis 48:5, and their inheritance fulfilled the blessing Jacob had spoken over Joseph and by extension his sons. Through his two sons, Joseph, as the oldest son of Jacob's wife Rachel, received a double portion of the inheritance, the largest territory and the greatest influence in the northern half of Israel belongs to their tribe. So just an interesting fact about that allotment. So in chapter 17, we're going to read about some more land that is designated and who that land was designated for. And the next couple of chapters, we're going to continue to read about these land allotments. But you know, even though this isn't the most interesting thing to read about in the Bible, it is still important. It is still important. Even though it's not a really super interesting, or doesn't have a super interesting storyline, it is still important. And I encourage you, as you read chapters like this, and there's not a lot of, I guess you could say, meat to the chapter, always pay careful attention to your footnotes, because 9 times out of 10, there's going to be something interesting that you glean from that maybe you don't from just reading the words in the chapter itself. So that's Joshua 16. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time.